Joining us now in studio, we have Dr. Katie Germany with Billings Clinic. Thank you so much for coming in this morning. And you're here to talk about some back-to-school health tips for parents. So what are the things that parents are needing to check off this time of year?
So it's really important to get in and get your vaccines. So usually kids need to have their kindergarten shots if they haven't had them yet. And then for 7th grade, they're also required to have some vaccines. So there's always some last minute scrambles, so just to keep that in mind. And then sports physicals is another big one. Make sure they're getting in to get those done so that they can start their sports on time.
Get started with fall sports. Yep,
Yeah.
awesome. And talk a little bit about kind of other things. So kids are making a lot of transitions right now. Sleep schedules, I guess, could be difficult if they're getting up earlier than they were in the summer. Talk about a lot of the changes that families are having to make.
Sure. So just getting back into a regular schedule, kind of a good idea to start implementing that a week or so before school starts, so you can kind of get into, getting up at the time you would get up when you have to go to school, going to bed earlier. I know in the summer kids tend to be up later, sleeping until noon, so really starting to make those changes and trying to get them into their regular schedule for school.
So it's better to maybe start a couple weeks early.
Definitely.
Instead of that shocking first morning.
Yes, definitely. Definitely a good idea to start, and the earlier, get into that routine, get used to it, because it takes some time to adjust.
Okay, awesome, sounds good. And then of course we're paying attention to all of the routes that kids are getting to school right now. Of course drivers will need to be careful. Kids will be biking and walking. So talk a little bit about safety for those considerations.
Yes. Biking, we always encourage kids to have a snug fitting helmet, to be aware of traffic, and it's very important for drivers to also be aware of kids going back to school, to be on the lookout for that, not speeding through residential areas, and then for kids to stop at intersections, walk their bike across. When they get to school, the crossing guards are very good about having them get off their bike and walk their bike. So those would probably be the big things, especially for drivers. It's going to be a busier morning, people rushing to work. So I know there have been kids that have been hit going to school, which is parents' worst nightmare.
Always scary. Always
yes.
hard, yeah.
Yep. So.
Okay. Well, thank you so much for coming in this morning.
Of course.
Again, all those health considerations, both your shots and your physicals and safety. So lots of planning to do.
Definitely.
We're just a couple weeks away, almost back to school.
August 22nd.
August 22nd. It's coming up.
Yes, it is.